Hey everyone, Steve here from Simplify, and I want to make a quick update on the three-part series video that we have done on our channel, which is how to create and register or manage your WeChat official account so that you can market your business to the Chinese audience either in China or abroad. So there has been a lot of changes in WeChat. We just haven't had a chance to really make a video because we've been busy with a lot of stuff, including rebranding ourselves. But there has been a lot of changes with WeChat account. Now we get a ton of questions from the 3 videos we make, so I thought why not make a video with all the updates because there's some really big ones. The previous video we made was how can you as a foreign business create a WeChat official account, and the conclusion was it was very difficult. Now this actually has changed. Now WeChat have made it easier for foreign businesses to create official account, but there are a few catches. So we're going to go through that in this video, and we're going to just get right into it. So first of all, the best news ever for all your foreign businesses, regardless, well, for most countries anyway, you can now officially register your very own WeChat official account that's owned by you. You don't need to go through any agencies. You don't have to get anybody in China with a Chinese ID to do that for you. You can go and register yourself. The process is a bit complicated. You do need to provide a lot of documentation, including your passport and all of these stuff. I'm not going to mention these in the video. We actually have an article which is going to be included in the description section. You can go there and go through our article, which gives you a step-by-step guide on how to create your own WeChat official account for your foreign businesses without having to have a registered business in China and without having to have somebody in China to register for it, even manage it for you. So technically you can do all of it yourself, but there are some catches. So first of all, there's still some restrictions. Now these may change again, but for now these restrictions still apply. So first of all, as a foreign business, you can only create service account. Now, if you don't know what the difference between service, enterprise, and say subscription account, you can go back to one. I believe it was the second video of one of our old WeChat account video, and you can look at it, which goes into the details of it. But in a nutshell, service is really for service and less for content, where subscription is more for content. But regardless, you can get a service account, you can create content on it, and actually people can read your content in China. There's no restriction on it anymore. So the second one is, if you do want to run ads on WeChat, like moment ads or banner ads or whatever it is, you can do it now. You can run advertisement as a foreign business, even if you don't have a registered business in China. But there are a few catches. Number one, it's an entirely different process. Now this, most likely you're gonna have to go through an agency in China. Somebody, either go through somebody like us, where we can find you someone to do it, or you can find it yourself. But you do need somebody to manage your ad, and your ad have to go through a second approval process every time you launch an ad campaign. That being said, overall, WeChat campaigns are still relatively expensive, with a minimum of $6,000 a month that you need to spend. That's US dollars. On moments ads, with the banner ads, I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's not a small, cheap endeavor for WeChat ads. Third is, you do need to have a dedicated administrator. Now the good news is, you don't need to have somebody in China. You don't need somebody that's a Chinese citizen. You can have your CEO or CFO or your social media manager. Generally you don't want somebody that that's going to leave your company to be the administrator, because that person is going to be tied to the account, and you don't want that person to have full control over the WeChat account. You want that to be yourself, and then you can always add people in afterwards. So you do need to have an administrator, and that administrator has to provide separate sets of documentations, legal papers, so on and so forth, phone number. And all of that needs to be supplied to Tencent before they approve the whole registration process. Fourth one is, unfortunately, the whole registration process is still in Chinese. Even, yes, it is a foreign WeChat official account that you can register, but as far as we know, there is really no English registration process, at least not yet. The good thing is you can always visit our blog post, which again has the step-by-step guide with all the translation. If you follow it, it tells you all the documentation you need to create your own very own WeChat official account for your business. Finally, I already said this, but again, the content can be found in mainland China. So this is one of the major changes. Now you can create content on your service page, which is about 4 times. You can do 4 purchases a month, and people can find you content in China. That means they can find your WeChat official account, and technically you can market directly even if you don't have a registered business in China. If you're doing cross-border e-commerce or whatever it is, where you don't have to be physically there in China to service the customers. However, that being said, is yes, people can find you, but a lot of time, foreign business owner or business owner kind of mistaken on the idea of WeChat official account. For whatever reason, they think that if they create a whole bunch of content, that's going to drive brand awareness, that's going to get them customer. This never happens. This is kind of like saying if I create a Facebook page and all of a sudden people are going to follow me on Facebook page or Instagram. It doesn't happen. If you've done any social media, this is the same in China. In fact, WeChat is so noisy these days, official account getting followers is actually very, very difficult. So you still need an acquisition strategy regardless. So there are many ways to do that. If you want to know, you can always contact us, and we can share that with you. Finally, there is a requirement from Tencent to pay $99 US to create the account. This is something that Tencent charges. And you can't use a credit card. You cannot use even WeChat Pay. If you have WeChat Pay, you actually have to wire Tencent $99. I think the reason they do that is they want to make sure that you are a legitimate business, that you have a legitimate bank account, so that if you can wire them, then it's pretty much legitimate. They can see where it's coming from. So they want to know that you're a legitimate person versus, if you get a credit card, it's harder for them to prove that you actually have a business, and the rest is the same. So you do need to pay Tencent the money. Finally, and that's really about it. Everything else is pretty much the same. Again, you cannot create a subscription account. You can create a service account. The rest of the rules applies. There is no English backend. So if you're gonna manage it yourself, hopefully you know how to read Chinese, or hire someone that knows how to read Chinese. But if you do need help creating that WeChat official account, you can always send us a email at info@simplifyway.com, and we'll get in touch with you to help you create your account. The second thing is, you can, if you want to do it yourself, again, in the description of this video, we're going to include the link to the blog post where we outline the step-by-step process of how you can go and create your own account. So that's it. I wish you all the best and good luck with your WeChat marketing.